What is up everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Ahmed and in this channel I do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reactions every Saturday, Doctor Who reactions every Monday, every Wednesday and every Friday. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. As you all know, I just finished reacting to Doctor Who Season 1 and I absolutely loved it. We're going to start Season 2 the week of April the 30th. However, I'll be uploading my reaction to the mini episode and the Christmas special next week. Today I'll be ranking the episodes of Doctor Who Season 1. Keep in mind this is not a review or a recap. There will be a recap next week, so stay tuned. Before we start, I just want to point out that my ranking may not be the most popular, so it might take me a few rewatches to finally settle on a definite ranking. Coming up in number 10 is The End of the World. The End of the World was the second episode of Season 1 and it kind of showed us and Rose that time travel is not all roses and sunshine. This was a reality check to Rose as she thought time travel would be all fun, all rainbow, but it definitely is not the case as we saw in this episode. The best scene in this episode was the beachy trampoline. Definitely unmatched. Coming up in number 9 is Boomtown. This is the episode where we find out that the TARDIS is actually alive. And I really liked this episode because it kind of showed us another side of the Slitheen, a much kinder, softer side. My favorite scene in this episode were the Doctor and Margaret's first dates, first and last date. And in that dinner date we had this amazing conversation and back to forth discussion that I really enjoyed, and I'll be talking about the ethical and the moral dilemma that we saw in that discussion in my recap video, but I thought that scene is one of the best we've seen in this Season 1. Coming up in number 8 is The Unquiet Death. The Unquiet Death was the first time we actually traveled through time on Earth. I know we did that again in Dalek when we time traveled to 2012, and we also did that in what was the episode? The Empty Child. We went back to the World War II, but this was the first time we actually time traveled on Earth. I really enjoyed the interaction we had between the Doctor and our first, I hope there'll be more, with our first historical figure in Charles Dickens. In number 7 is The Long Game. In The Long Game, the year is 200,000, the place is Satellite 5, and the human empire, the fourth and the bountiful human empire, is nowhere to be found. I really enjoyed this episode and I was quite surprised actually to see Simon Pegg. I never thought that he was in Doctor Who, so I wonder if this was the beginning of his career here or was he actually established before this. In number 6 are Aliens of London and World War III. What can I say? The Slitheen might be the most disgusting thing that I've ever seen, and they may have looked a bit childish as well, you know, with the farting and everything, but they actually pose a real threat to me, or for me. I have a question in this episode, and I hope you guys will answer this. When the Doctor missed an entire year, so going back to London 1 year later, I'm just wondering why didn't he go back in time and just go back 1 year and then no time would have passed. I mean, he did that in... When did he do that? He did that in Father's Day when Rose didn't talk to her father on his deathbed. I mean, when he was lying on the street. But he went back in time again, so she will have another chance. So I'm just wondering why didn't he go back in time in the Aliens of London episode? Was it because he became part of the events of that year? I'm just wondering, so if you have any answers for me, I would really appreciate it. Coming up in number 5 is Rose. Now, this episode is very special and very dear to my heart because it was my first introduction to Doctor Who, and the universe and the world of Doctor Who. And I love how we were introduced to this series. For me, it's new. For you guys, it's been there for a long time. But for me, the introduction of the series was a bit unique for me because it was through Rose's eyes and not the Doctor's, you know, and not the hero of the story, you know. And that was quite refreshing and a bit different than many other shows that really just focuses on their main hero or protagonist. The best line in this episode has to go to Christopher Eccleston. Remember when Rose was questioning his accents? So he was, and I think he said, "Oh, lots of planets have a north." I really enjoyed that, and I thought that was. I'm not sure if that's Christopher's real accent, so that was a way to incorporate it in the show, or I'm not sure. You guys tell me. In number 4 comes Dalek. Dalek was one of these episodes where I was at the edge of my seat the entire time. It was my first introduction ever to the Daleks, and I'm saying ever because a lot of you guys were laughing at me in the comment section. I loved how the writers show the similarity between two opposite forces in the Doctor and the Dalek. They are the last of their kinds. They carry the legacies of their kind as well on them. I was absolutely mesmerized by Christopher Eccleston in this episode. The way that he showed fear and hate that he had towards the Dalek was magical. The Doctor usually is funny, you know, very witty, and he would throw a joke here and there, but in this episode, man, the Doctor was very serious. He was terrified, and you can see the pain and the suffering in his eyes. Coming up in number 3 are The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances. I really enjoyed this two-parter. These were the episodes where we were first introduced to Captain Jack Harkness. For some reason, I thought John Barrowman was a doctor, so I never thought that I would see him in this season, but apparently he's not. And I love it when shows go back in time and go to historical times. So, and this episode was the World War II, so it was nice. It was nice to see a bit of history of that time and a bit of a picture of how people were and how the houses looked like and how London looked like back then. Best line in this episode? I mean, do I really have to say it? Are you my mommy? Coming up in number 2 is Father's Day. Father's Day was one of the most emotional episodes I've ever seen in my life. I rarely get teary-eyed, so to be at the brink of actually crying is a credit to the writers. Absolutely magnificent writing, and to Billie Piper. The acting here was magnificent, and she was absolutely amazing. This episode was the first time we were introduced to the time paradox and the consequences of changing the events of time. And we finally got to see Rose's father, and I thought that their interaction was amazing and heartwarming. He could have been, and he would have been, a great father. And in number 1, and the best episode / storyline of season 1 of Doctor Who, is Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. This two-parter has to be one of the most amazing TV pieces that I've seen in a very long time. To have me emotionally unstable throughout this hour and a half of an episodes is amazing and is mind-blowing to me as well, because I rarely get this attached to characters. And it's kudos actually to the writers and everyone actually working on the show to have me really attached to the characters through the span of only 13 episodes is insane. The Daleks are back. Apparently they haven't been away, actually they've been there for a long time. And the Emperor is absolutely crazy as much as he is evil. And we finally got an answer about the origins of the Bad Wolf reference. The first time I've seen the Bad Wolf reference actually was on on the TARDIS. And I just want to say hats off to the composer for the music in this episode. Absolutely fantastic, absolutely moving. Many of the emotions that I felt in this episode were magnified by the music. So that was my ranking for the episodes of Doctor Who Season 1. I kept this video very short, very brief, because I'll be posting another video next week recapping and reviewing Season 1. I'm actually very curious to know your ranking for the episodes of Season 1, so I'll be looking forward to your lists and your top 10s for this season in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Doctor Who reactions and videos like this one. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.